up and welcome to the Attack on Titan After Show. We're talking episode 21. It is coordinates, but wait, what are coordinates? And we have death, sacrifice, passing on knowledge and abilities, and a whole lot of exposition. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up? Welcome to the Attack on Titan After Show. We're talking episode 21, which is Attack Titan, which sounded a little weird. I'm like, wait, did I read that right?
Attack Titan!
Yes! So we'll be breaking down the episode. We'll have our predictions as well as our special segment and news because, you know, there's kind of this big event happening very, very soon. So we'll talk about that. My name is Carrie Lane. I'm joined by my awesome panel.
Hey everyone, Veronica Valencia here.
I don't know why. I thought Chris would be like, and our next.
Well, and we also have a special guest below the table.
Yes,
I was gonna let you introduce.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm Jamie, guys, and then we have Trunks here. My little baby. And yes, he's named after Trunks from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. And then rounding out the panel.
Hey guys, it's Ollie Drennan.
I'm loving the contacts for the people listening.
Yes. And the hair.
And I know the pink hair is gone.
I killed it.
It's okay.
It's dead.
All right, what did we think of this episode? I mean, last episode we get a lot of history, and this one we still get more history and a lot of like, hold on, let's rewind and reread that because it's like dense information of here are the things we've been wondering, but here's a whole bunch more questions. Yay!
Yeah. I mean, I personally really liked it. I can see how between this week's episode and last week's, how the information, it can kind of get maybe a little boring. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff that happened, but I personally have been waiting to hear all this to finally connect all the dots. So for me, I found it very helpful because I was just like, wait, I'm still so confused because I'm anime only, so I don't know a whole lot of stuff. And so I'm just like, yes, finally I get everything. I understand it all.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good episode, but I, just to kind of piggyback off what Veronica said, I did expect like a little bit more movement, just expect more to actually happen, but it was a good episode. We did learn more about, the owl and why he chose to not help out sooner, because I said that last week. I was like, why wouldn't you try harder? Like, what took you so long? And it's like, we see his vulnerability as well. So I think things are coming full circle. Yeah.
Ollie.
No, I just completely agree. I can't even complain of, I wish more happened or more questions were answered, because at the end of the day, there are questions being answered, and we are tying up those loose ends, but to our dismay, there's more loose ends added to the fray. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Kind of like we'll talk about it in terms of Dinah and how why the reason why he didn't really save Dinah was because she didn't want her to become like a human factory kind of because of her royal blood. So that made a lot of sense. So I appreciate those kind of eye-opening answers to those questions that I was like, why didn't you save her? So
Because we can have all the speculation we want, but it's nice when the show is like, here's the character's reasons, because like you can guess, but you don't know until they say it. So the Eren Kruger. So we're thinking Eren's maybe named after him?
Yeah.
I 100% think that's the case.
Yeah, totally. I had a moment that I'm like, wait, is he the real father of? But it's like, no. It's like you have that moment. Are you the real father? You are not the father. Okay, too much detail.
Maury.
Yes.
That's an interesting theory, though.
Right? Well, because it's one of those, like, we know later, but it's
And
not
But it'd be like one of those fan fictions,
Oh,
love it.
Eren, I am your father.
The show can do so many things, and you go, okay, I buy it. Like, nothing is out of the realm of possibility, I think. So Eren Kruger, the owl, is one of the 9 abilities in Titans, and pretty much why did he keep Grisha alive? It's one, for the sake of Eldia. It's like, okay, cool. That's very a grandiose thought. And also his anger, his hatred, which in a way makes sense because that gives him that drive. Though right now he seems to have lost all of that. All that energy. He's like, what do you guys think of that? Like that tonal shift that he's like, I don't know what to do now.
I mean, I didn't blame him either. He's like, had I known, I would have never done this. I would have never taken the risk, of everything I sacrificed. It wasn't worth it. So I think that sucks. But I think it's his time to, have torch passed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. He signed up for a very specific mission of just, trying to help the Eldian people, and now basically Eren Kruger is saying, hey, you got this extra thing to do. You got to go get the Founding Titan back. You got to go to the walls, and, all of your friends just died, and I was part of it. But hey, do this anyway.
Sounds
so
cool.
it's very hard for him, and I don't blame him for being so upset or just, not wanting to fully be on board.
Yeah.
And as Jamie said last week, his girl just turned into a beast.
Right. traumatized, and it's like every time he sees a Titan, he's gonna be triggered.
Right?
Dang.
But technically, she lives for a while. We
Yeah.
saw her later at other points. It's one of those like,
That we
oh,
did.
that's her. I didn't get to say it last week, but I was like, I knew it was an island. I knew they were an
Yeah.
island. It felt too much like, what's an easy way to keep them? But then still, they couldn't get out to and see the edge of said island.
Yeah.
And also part of why it's one of those, is it fate or destiny? Because one of the other big reasons is because Grisha went outside the walls. It's like, if you hadn't have done that, your sister wouldn't have died. She would have had a normal life. And that's one of those, yay, I've proved myself, but my sister died. But a weird,
Yeah.
I don't know, do we feel it's kind of like fate, destiny? Could he have avoided any of this? Or would there have been just someone else who was chosen?
I personally think it's one of those things that maybe it could be fate, but I can also see it as Eren Kruger being like, oh, I kind of thought it was you just from your history, and this, and I'll just add this factor as part of it. I don't know if he can necessarily say he really knew in that moment, oh, this is the guy who's going to be my successor.
Right.
But I feel like looking back on Grisha's entire journey, he can say, yes, this makes sense now. From that moment, I knew, kind of thing.
Yeah, it just sucks all around.
Yeah.
But it's definitely all full circle too,
Yes.
because even with Grisha and his upbringing, and what happened with him and Dinah, and then just to see Eren and how he suffered, when he was younger, and seeing his mom being eaten by the Smile Titan, it's just like, it's all crazy. And then Eren ate. We believe that he ate his dad too. It's just like he had a horrible life, Grisha.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we learned there was a previous attempt at a rebellion, which was Kruger's parents, but they were they were killed. They were died. And which is kind of nice to know, because then we kind of wonder, like, wait, have they tried this before? Is this like the first time they tried? And what is Grisha's job? It is to infiltrate the walls, go get the founding Titan, and inherit the Alice Titan. No big deal. Just a Tuesday. And he's kind of like that responsibility on him, which, it's kind of understanding of how we were saying before, of that crushing of, oh no.
And now I'm sure he feels probably alone to an extent, because so many people have just been killed, and it's like, I have to do this all myself. And
Yes.
it's like that's a lot of weight he must hold.
And how Kruger makes a point, you cannot get to the walls unless you're a Titan. Like, he can't walk there and live. There'd be no way. Like, a horse, maybe. But as we've seen, people just walking around outside the walls,
Yeah.
And so that also, did we, has it come up again to the idea that everybody kind of most people wandering outside are essentially all exiles?
I would.
Or a lot of.
We can
Yeah.
assume they're all exiles, or they're people being punished by the Merlian government and altered into Titans.
Yay! Which is one of those like, oh, that's
Sad.
sad to think.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what I said last week, how we kind of like, I've learned to somewhat, not all the way, like kind of sympathize with some of the Titans because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because they were humans at one point, and they
Yes.
just kind of exiled, as you said. So it's like, oh, I feel bad for you, but don't eat me.
Yes. We learned a very useful, again, the information that's very big was like the fact of, if you get one of the Power of the Nine Titans, which are the like more intelligent ones, you will die in 13 years.
So it is a curse.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's really interesting hearing this now, because I remember I had asked a couple of episodes ago, like, oh, if you're on the brink of death, but you are brought back because of the power of the Titans, like, do you feel cursed? And now you are. You actually are cursed, because you're gonna die regardless.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah.
And that means Eren is
He has 8 more. He
Right.
says.
Yeah.
He says about 8 or less. And then Armin realizes, oh, then I have 13. But the question is, then they mention, which I want to know your thoughts. So it's the curse of Ymir. And the thing is, if it doesn't get passed on to somebody, Kruger said it like goes back into the pool of people essentially, and then a baby will get it. So does that timeline start from when they're born or puberty? Because otherwise, that means the children only live to 13.
I immediately assumed from when they were born.
That's
Okay.
what I thought too. But you make a good point though. Like
Maybe it doesn't activate yet, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Or maybe it's from when they first do it, like transform in that way. I don't feel that got explained.
The first time
Yeah.
that they ever become a Titan is when
That's
their
what I'm-
timeline starts.
that's another because especially with Armin, and I would think that Eren would last longer than the years he's already lasted. Since he
I like that
Because
theory.
he's
I like
15, but it was passed on to him differently.
Wait, no. Oh, I'm getting really into this right now, because if Eren is currently 15
He is
and
currently
he has
15.
about 8 years of his life, so, and that's 13, so that's what? 3? No, 8, 7? Okay, never mind, I'm wrong.
No, unless he
That's
was
just-
injected a while ago from his dad.
Because I was going to say...
But that would be the start of his timeline. But which makes sense because has it been 5 years that they've been doing this? I didn't think they started when they were 10. I thought they started more like 12, 13.
Well, I thought that they started when they were 12, 13, but I would assume Eren got the powers when he was 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let us know your thoughts. This is definitely a lot of the math of, but it's interesting. We're getting these details, but not like it's like a math problem where we have like X and Y and solve for Z, and we're like, oh, great, thank you. We don't have that information. But it's really interesting to think about because it's like, wait, how long? When does the start time happen?
Yeah.
And then we do have a live chat, so welcome everybody watching us live. And if you're watching it later, please comment down below. Click that thumbs up, subscribe button, so that you're up to date on when we come out with new videos. And if you're listening on iTunes, for listeners, we love you too. And make sure, leave a comment, give us 1 through 5, because 1 through 4 don't work, so go for that 5. Yes. Or a Titan's gonna eat you. That's what it is.
Ooh, no one wants that thing.
Right. Well, you want to eat a Titan and then you become superpowered, but that's a different.
But even then, we just
seasoning.
learned it's a curse and we don't want it
It's
anyway.
like, no, thank you. So we get all this history, and then it's like, just kidding, storytelling time, because I was kind of curious of who our narrator was at the beginning. It's Eren telling Armin, which, thank you, Armin, of like, so tell me again, write down all the details and the history and our documents and everything, which we haven't really gotten into them reading the books yet.
Question. I was actually just about to ask, and I wanted to get everyone's opinion on this. Because we kind of saw it, and I think you had brought it up, Ellie, we kind of saw last week how Eren is tapping into memories.
Yes.
Do you think he's read the books and he's just retelling them to Armin, or do you think these are memories he's somehow getting and telling Armin?
Because there's that whole theory of like
Memories.
And how that kind of like ties to the past, because it's really confusing and it's kind of giving like this cold like paradox kind of vibe to me in a sense. So I don't know. I didn't come up with my own theory yet, but I'm curious as to what you think, as Veronica just said. So I was wondering if like the past and the future kind of, it's just like this wavelength. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting too because like whenever you get the Titan, you also get the memories of the person who had that Titan. So you could say all along that Eren had Eren Kruger's memories, but at the same time, it's like, well, why are they just awakening now, kind of thing, if he's telling Armin through memory?
Well,
I want more.
How it activates, we don't know, but we do know Kruger knew about Armin and Mikasa.
Right.
And he had never met them.
They weren't even born yet.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's Titans, essentially, time is not just linear.
Right.
And all the paths coincide. And somehow the special Titans, one of the 9, has that knowledge, which was the pathways. Again, this is one of those you're like...
Paradox.
Reading it. Yeah. But then where those paths intersect is the founding Titan, which is making me wonder if Eren is essentially the founding Titan now.
He is.
Okay. So then that's how he knows everything.
Yeah, because they kept calling him the coordinate in the last season. So.
Or
coordinate.
Are they mistaken, too? Could he not be, and he just is connected somehow?
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? There are assumptions of it. We don't know. But we learn that Eren, the Owl Titan, or the Owl, I like his code name, is Attack Titan. So, which makes sense because there's Armor Titan and then Colossal Titan, so which we would assume current Eren, is the Attack Titan, which makes sense because he seems more like just the fighter.
Yeah.
Which, not really a just, it's a very good ability out of all of them.
He just
as we discussed.
Just a fighter.
Constantly in attack mode.
Right?
Never in defense mode.
Yes.
Nope.
Let a drop card. No.
They get let out of prison early, and they're like, well, we can't have our like main warriors locked up for a while because that sends a bad image. We gotta give you a slap on the wrist, which made sense. And then why do you think Eren didn't want to explain himself? Because Hanji's like, hey, why are you... He starts to say something, and he stops. And Hanji's like, whoa, did you all hear that? And Eren's like, no, I didn't say it. And nobody responds. Why do you think Eren is hiding information?
I'm wondering if it's... See, it's kind of hard to say because I feel like a lot throughout this episode we basically learned that people don't give up information because they don't know how, I guess in this case, the military will use them. Like in the case with Dinah, or in the case we learned later with Historia.
Right.
And so I don't know if Eren is thinking that because they're basically already using him as a weapon and he's kind of volunteered for that position. So I don't know if that's the case why he would be hiding information, but that was the first thing that came to mind.
And Hanji tends to jump the gun sometimes. And, she
Little bit.
she did take over for Erwin, so I feel like he's probably like, ooh, I don't know, like, what I can say to her. But yeah.
Or he's collecting his thoughts first, because it's like he doesn't want to, because Hanji has so many questions,
Yeah.
doesn't want to be like, hey, here's this nugget, and then be like bombarded with questions that he hasn't even really thought about. Thank you, Blazing Warrior in the chat, referring to Eren. He is the founding Titan. Grisha had the attack Titan, and then the founding Titan, and so then that's when Eren ate. So, bam! So he gets double, which is awesome.
Double.
Then pretty much they have the Historia with Ymir's letter. Why do we think it had the like essentially touching it and the electricity and information?
I have and this is just like a very obvious thing, the fact that Ymir shares the name with Ymir, the like first tie-in. I always thought maybe there was some kind of connection there, and I wondered, I wondered if like her touching it kind of, because she's royal and like Ymir is like, if she does have relation to the original Ymir, I wonder if there was like a connection there.
I like that thought. Because it was very, like, we don't get any explanation. Of course, Historia is like, yeah, no, nothing really special in the letter. By the way, I touched it, there's electricity, and I got visions. Nope, we're not going to tell everybody that.
But even her letter has me very curious on what's up with her, because, now that we kind of get this idea of what's going on behind the walls with the people who have the Titan powers, it's like, well, Ymir, why are you still AWOL? Like, why aren't you here helping us or something, since you have this connection
Where
with Historia?
is she? I completely forgot where she is.
Well, I think the last time we saw her was when she ran off with Bertolt and them during the battle. But I was wondering how far along she is in her timeline. In
Of
terms
death?
of the 13, years. Yeah. Like, is it, she's going to have a year or two, or, like, has that expired? And, like, we haven't seen how you die exactly. We saw Kruger, like, he's ill. But it's like, do you just...
You just
fall over or what?
I just want a reuniting of Historia and
I want that
Amir.
so bad. And I would think that if she knows that, she would also want to have one last moment with Historia.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe. I think Ymir's going to come back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we get that moment, and then they get their official kind of Senate meeting almost. It's pretty much all the important leaders and people, and only 9 of the 199 scouts are alive. Yay.
Yeah.
That's one that's like, oh man, that just hurts when we got those numbers. Then Eren has a moment where he goes, oh my gosh! Just kidding. I'm sorry. Forget my outburst. What do we think that was about?
Well, that was to protect Historia, right? Don't you think?
I like that theory.
Because she has royal blood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I took it.
I took it as,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I took it as 2 things. Immediately, I would had the curious of like, Eren, do you think that Dinah was your mom? Because like, no, that wasn't the case.
No.
I like, as soon as he realized like, Dinah, I was like, do you think that's your mom? Because no, it's definitely not your mom. And then I immediately thought he had the realization of how he, without royal blood, can use the founding Titan's power.
Right.
Because it's pretty much, if he can touch a royal titan, he can use it. But the thing is he protecting, I agree, I think, with Ollie, that I think he's protecting a story, because and otherwise they might want to make her a titan,
Right.
and then eat him, or make her a titan
Or
and do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's all, just kidding. I do like that he's going through a phase. And they go, oh yeah, he is
He's
at that
just
age.
15.
That's unfortunate.
Which is like, wow. I forget that he's 15.
Right?
He does not look 15.
No.
That's
We
a hard
often-
15.
I look 15. He looks my age.
I
Just
often
saying.
forget that a lot of our main characters are young
Teens,
adults
yeah.
because
Yeah.
of just this drama they go through.
I think what they go through absolutely ages them way more than
Right.
they probably are. So it's like, I think if they got to do basic, like, kid stuff, they just wouldn't know what to do with themselves. Like,
Yeah.
can we go to battle? Like, I don't know, this, just hanging out thing. Then the other last bit, oh yeah, we already said, which Kruger says he knows the memories, and he asks who is it. So yeah, time I think is connected. I don't feel it's very linear, but we don't get. I love the visual though of the paths, as they called it, which was very pretty. It kind of made me think Aurora Borealis kind of a thing, but more like lines. Any other bits of information that you want to cover that we didn't get to before we get to predictions?
No.
And news?
We're good.
I mean, I'm still very curious about Grisha's life once he gets inside the walls, especially now that Kruger has basically told him, like, once you get there, have a wife, have a family, have someone to love. And I don't know if that was him basically saying to carry on the mission or, you know, because you're going to live a very lonely life and you're going to need someone.
Now that you bring that up, it's like, did he just get with Eren's mom just to have a successor?
I was wondering the same thing.
I brought that up last week because I was very confused if, like, was Eren born out of love or was he born out of purpose?
Yeah.
So it's like,
We didn't see a ton of his dad and his mom together,
Right.
so hard to say.
Yeah.
And did they ever have siblings before? Like, what happened? You know, was
True.
there a miscarriage? You just never know.
Yeah.
we need the details.
Yeah, like, I need a son. I'm just thinking of a whole plot twist now.
Well, and then would it have worked if it was a daughter? Would that have mattered if it was a son or daughter? Which is a good point. We have a couple
Zeke.
people in the chat. Chibi Sphere says Ymir's fate was shown in this episode. When Historia touches the paper and sees her memories for the moment, the last thing that shows is Ymir tied up in a similar ritual platform about to be eaten. I felt that was past, though. I didn't feel that was current.
I thought that was, past, but I'm not
Interesting.
sure.
it could be current. I felt it was
Yeah.
more like something in Ymir's past.
Well, that's sad if that is, if it is, like, her death, essentially. That's sad that they never had a reuniting. Which I
Right.
hope that's not true, but if it is.
Shifty Fox says, yep, I think Ymir's dead, is gone. And yeah, Chibi Sphere adds, it can be easy to miss because it goes by fast.
Damn.
But again, it feels like one of those, if they went either way, I'd go sure that was a past memory or if that's a... But also, if she is somehow able to tap into the pasts at all because she's royal. But then again, that was the problem. That was another big piece of information. Thank you, chat, for bringing that up. The problem is if Historia gets the founding titan, they are taken over by the king's memories in terms of being a pacifist, and so that's also why he doesn't want her to have it, because then you change how you are instead of pushing forward. That was another big problem, because that stays in that line of the royal family.
And it's very interesting that Eren has both the founding titan that does have that personality and the attack titan that's very much like, I'll fight for freedom.
Yeah, so we'll see. Juwan Mitchell says it does look like how Eren was when Historia's dad wanted him eaten. So yeah, I think she's dead. We'll see. We'll leave that in our prediction. So we'll do our news real quick.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So if you don't know, but I think you should know, Anime Expo is next weekend! Woo! So our team here will all be there covering the news and bringing you all the excitement from Anime Expo. Is there any particular things anybody wants to shout out that they're super excited for? We were talking about Promised Neverland. I'm
Promised
that
Neverland.
panel looks so good. Anything else that you guys looking forward to in particular?
Yes, the Crunchyroll panel and also the People of Color cosplay panel.
Yeah.
That one is interesting. And of course, the My Hero Academia movie.
Yes.
We're gonna get in
The
there.
premiere?
Keep our hopes up.
Yes, Ollie?
That, but I'm also
You're all
upset.
ditto.
I'm upset that
No.
My Hero, Sailor Moon, and Digimon are all going on at the same time.
Why
so
would they do that to
Anime,
us?
why you got hurt
those
us
are
like
three
that?
huge,
Yeah.
big ones, at least for me. And I just think they need to schedule, because that could easily be, scheduling just
Anchors.
fixed.
Yeah.
It's like
Cool.
a whole lot. I'm
But also,
excited
I
though.
Well, we'll
that.
see. But the good thing, which I do recommend, when you're going to Anime Expo, have your A plan, B plan, C, and D. So in case you don't get into one, go to the next one and then the other options, because that can happen too. You go to one and maybe it's full, and then have a second backup.
But I
as
feel like
well.
everyone's going to go to My Hero, so the other panels are going to be empty.
No, there's so many, so we'll see. So also check out our Twitter, ABTV Anime. There's a lot of press releases we put out of exciting news for Anime Expo as well. All right, let's do some quick predictions before we...
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Yay! I think Ymir's alive. I want to say she's alive. And go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I agree with, I hope for the best that she's alive and we get a reunion.
Yeah. And then, Jamie, any predictions of what you think will be next?
I mean, I think they will show us just, more insight into Grisha's backstory and, what happened once he went inside the walls as this, new Titan. But I also want to see Eren and Armin fight together in their Titan form. So that's all I got so far.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yes.
Buddies fighting.
I don't know. I don't know what's
Okay,
going to happen.
this is thinking very, more down the line and abstract. Do we think eventually they're going to want to rally up people and get outside the walls, go back to the mainland, and be like, y'all kicked us out, we're going to take it back?
I thought that's kind of what they might be gearing up to do next episode, because you see them riding on horses and then something about outside the walls.
Right?
So I think if that does happen, maybe next episode would be the start of that,
Right.
possibly.
Possibly.
Transpo would be a big problem unless the Colossal Titan's gonna be like, I'm gonna carry everybody.
I would be very curious to see what Armin looks like as the Colossal Titan. Like, does he have hair?
That's a good question.
Like, will he have
I'm
hair?
gonna go with yes. I'll
that
go
looks
with
so
yes.
bad.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Armin.
our special segment, nobody really died this episode, but shout out to Eren Kruger because his sacrifice is our death of the week because pretty much he gave it up
Didn't
to
he,
pass
like,
on his ability.
Do something at the beginning of the episode. He kind of like crushed some things and killed some people.
This
He
is true.
crushed quite a bit of people, yeah.
And I do, and Grisha makes a great point, like, you couldn't have done that sooner. So, yeah,
Right, chop
shout
off
out
my
to Eren
fingers.
Kruger. Yes. All right, that wraps us up. Thank you so much watching, listening. Ollie, where can people find you online?
Hey everyone, you can find me, Ollie Drennan, on Instagram and Twitter at Ollie Dreamer.
And you can find me and Jamie on Twitter at It's Jamie Gray or on Instagram at Jamie Gray.
Hey guys, you can find me, Veronica Valencia, on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V.
And my name's Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Again, check us out on Twitter at ABTV Anime. We'll be posting our Anime Expo news from there. And since it is Anime Expo, we will not be here next week because we'll be in it. Check out Anime Expo. Say hi if you see us, and let us know on Twitter if there's anything particular you want us to cover. All right, thank you for watching, listening. See you next week. Sayonara.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.